podcast to the content and everything else. Because I've been working, like, as you see in the back, been working on like different little formulas and stuff like that. Like this one kind of came from a book I was reading and a podcast that I was listening to. And it's the difference between prosperity and sabotage. And I thought it was interesting. I thought it was a real interesting concept. Um, Prosperity is just like a way of thinking. And when it comes to sabotage, in a sense, like subconsciously, and you can chime in on this too, so you get your thought process on this too. But this book I was reading called The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity talks about, it gives different scenarios of people who were in certain situations where it seemed like they didn't know how things were going to happen or work, but they ended up working. But it was only because of the way that they was thinking. They had this prosperity mindset to say, even if I were to lose something, it's equivalent or better will return to me. And when people put themselves in that mindset, it would be like things would happen. They would get phone calls or they would see an opportunity because of their mindset that they're in, and they would take advantage of those opportunities. So with that in mind, that kind of made me think about like the sabotage kind of mindset, because most of the times when you're evolving, and it goes back into another formula that I formulated, when you're evolving, it's always the old you being introduced to the new you. And you have to somehow integrate those two aspects of yourself and find harmony. But in most cases, your subconscious mind sabotages you to keep you in that reality that you're in because it's familiar. You know, you already know what to expect in that reality. But when it comes to this new reality, it's like it's unfamiliar. You don't know what to expect. You don't know if it's going to work or if it's going to fail. You just don't know. And your mind is designed to keep you safe. So it'll do certain things subconsciously to keep you where you are. And then you ask yourself, like, dang, why does it feel like I'm still in the same cycle? Or why does it feel like every time I try to advance, it feels like it's hard to? That's because this old aspect of you is still trying to keep you where you are from this new aspect, which is unfamiliar to both of you. The person that you are and the person that you're becoming is just unfamiliar. So that's kind of where the concept came from. And I kind of worked it out a little bit more in depth.
I feel that. I feel that. I mean, and I was talking about it on the live today that I think the angle too, that like another angle on that is like people, we say we want something, but like we're not ready for it.
Mm.
You know, and it's like in that becoming, like a lot of us, we focus on goals. That's literally how we are wired, right? Like we're always like on to the next thing in school, right? Like it was, we had lessons and we always are progressing.
Mm.
With work, there's always like some, you know, like goal that we need to be achieving. And so I think it's like in life, we tend to like, we think we always have something we want, whether it's the relationship or this job or, you know, um, some end goal, but we don't always, we're not always in alignment with it to where our nervous system is ready for it. And even though we may say it's what we want, like we may manifest it and you know, talk about it with people, when we are when it starts to come our way, sometimes our nervous system, it just puts it on alarm and it's like, wait a minute, nope, this is like, we're not used to this, right? Like, and I was talking about it just in this, in the form of like, if you grew up, because we all got trauma, right? Like if you grew up in, you know, like maybe a household that was always yelling, right? And then, you know, you're like, I wish my parents would just stop arguing, right? Like I wish they would, um, just like be normal. And then you go to your friend's house and it's a completely different dynamic. Like their parents are like chill and relaxed and nobody's yelling. You're probably like sitting there like, what is happening? Like it feels weird. It feels
Yeah.
like, and even though it's the thing that you wanted, like to have an environment like that that felt like safe and peaceful and quiet, your nervous system is like, it's not wired for that. It's been wired to like deal with the chaos, deal with
mm,
the toxicity, deal with whatever. So that's honestly what a lot of us do. And when we are faced with that discomfort of the unfamiliar, like you're saying, we tend to, that's when we self-sabotage or we
mm,
self-abandon, in ways like why people get a good relationship with a good man or a good woman and then they self-sabotage, right? They do things that literally, and they're like, I don't know why I did that. Because your nervous system wasn't ready for it.
mm. Facts.
Like we just because we say we want something doesn't mean we're ready for it, right? Like
Mm,
I know people like coaches and stuff that like people like want to go viral and stuff, and that's cool and gravy. But what about when you go viral and then you don't have systems or structure or anything for when people are hitting you up talking about they want to like work with you
mm,
because you don't only have one or two clients and you mad about like not going viral, but you ain't ready for it. You
mm,
haven't built the capacity to do that. And so I think that that is something, again, I know we've like talked about it, but I don't see like a lot of people like sharing from that aspect. Like just because you want something don't mean it's yours. And I think
mm,
that a lot of we talk about manifesting and stuff like that, but it's more than just wishing something.
mm.
It takes more than that. So
I feel that. I feel that. Before I give you my point, though, I do want to say welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Usual. This is probably not the best part to start, but we're here now. And, we're just catching up. We're just sharing thoughts. And we're just exercising thought right now. And I feel like we're on a pretty good trajectory right now with this topic or with this conversation. Um, I think it's important to have. I feel like we're on the same level, on the same tone when we're talking about what we're talking about. And I had a note actually that relates to what it is that we're talking about right now. If I can find it. Oh, where is it? Oh, every time you take a step forward, it seems like things get worse. But again, that's just like it's not that you don't know. It's not that it's getting worse. It's just you've never had this experience before. I kind of got this idea from somebody, a friend of mine. She posted something on her story, and somebody was saying something to that effect, like when you step into a new environment or a new structure, whatever the case is, it's not difficult. You just haven't experienced it yet. So that doesn't mean you're not capable. It's just you just haven't experienced this before, so it's something new. And so I think it's kind of tough to it doesn't help to be tough on yourself when you're experiencing something you've never experienced before. Like you give the example of being from a broken childhood or coming from like just dealing with a lot of drama to like, oh, it's more calm over here, right? And I think that is just introducing yourself to a new aspect of who you are, who you're becoming. Because we all ask for certain things in our lives. And I think when we ask for those things, they're introduced to us, letting us know like we're ready for it, even if we don't feel like it. But the fact that you're asking for it goes to show that you are ready for it because change doesn't just happen like overnight, but it happens once you set the intention. When you set the intention of I want change in my life, it causes a disruption in the pattern in which you're living in which you're thinking. So you have to be prepared for that disruption because it's going to happen. It may not happen tomorrow, it may not happen next week, but you've already set out the intention immediately as soon as you said you wanted change. And so when the disruption happens, you get shocked and it's like, oh, I wasn't expecting this, but you asked for it. But you just didn't know how it was going to show up. So when it does show up, I think that it's important to take the necessary steps to be cautious and aware and be able to handle what it is that you're asking for because you ask for it even though you may not have the tools for it. You're going to be equipped with the tools as you continue to go through that process of going through that thing that you asked for. The tools are going to come to you, but you just have to be open to this new aspect, this new idea, because you can't come into it with that old mindset, that old framework of thinking, because you're going to ruin it. It's gotten you to this point, but that same mindset is not going to carry you through this new level of your life.
Yeah, I like that. And I think one word you said that really stuck out is open. I
Mm,
think being open, because a lot of us have expectations, right? Like, who doesn't? A lot of times, like I know, right? Like I'm saying it as if it has happened, but it hasn't happened yet. It hasn't manifested in this reality, but I knew that I would be on a TEDx stage. I knew that I would be talking to hundreds of thousands of people. And I also know that like I don't know how it's gonna happen. Like I had to really release that expectation. Because honestly, when I had the expectation of like how it should happen, how I wanted it to happen, because my journey has like, my entrepreneurship journey, but um it usually happens nothing like what we expect, and you have to be open to receive it. Like, know that it's going to happen. Know that, like, yes, if you want to be, the speaker, the coach, the entrepreneur, whatever, like a thought leader, the podcaster, right? Like, know it's going to happen. Just know that it can happen in so many ways. Like, there's more than two sides to a coin, So, like, just being open to, like you said, the journey essentially of what it could look like to get you there. Because more than
mm,
likely, how you think it's gonna be, it's gonna probably go around that, and like you're gonna have ups and downs, and some loop-de-loos, and some seesaws, and all kinds of adventures on the way there. But it's
mm,
all honestly in preparation to get you to the very thing that you say you want.
mm.
So yeah, that's kind of my perspective on it.
I like that. You know what intuition is, right? You got it. I'm sure we all do. I would hope we all do. I took a note from a couple of things that I was listening to, and it made me look at intuition from a different perspective. Intuition isn't something that's guiding you, but it's just the version of you that's already there. And I feel like what we're doing right now is the embodiment of our future selves. It's just at a different level, but we get these impulses to do something, and we may not understand where it comes from, but that's just like the intention, the intuition, the future aspect of ourselves guiding us, letting us know like, hey, look, this is what you need to do to put you in position to where you already desire to be, or where you already are in the future tense, right? So I think that everything that we're doing right now is just that. I don't think that we're in pursuit of anything. I think that we're the embodiment of the thing. Because I think it kind of goes back to the sabotaging formula that I was talking about. Our brains will do whatever it takes to keep us safe. And in some cases, it'll even lie to us. So we could be in pursuit of something, and sometimes we fall in love with the chase so much to the point where we're just chasing it and we're never actually embodying the thing that we're pursuing. And so we find comfort in the chase. Like, have you ever had an instance where maybe you met a friend or something? They had this big bright idea, this vision of what they were gonna do, and then sometime down the line you meet them, and you ask them about it, like, hey, so how's that thing going, right? And in some cases they may say like, oh yeah, it's going good. Once I get X, Y, and Z, then I'm gonna be right here and stuff like that. And every time you meet them, it's sometimes that same feeling. So they're always like chasing after something instead of just embodying the thing that they are talking about. And I feel like with us, like what we do, we've gotten to the point where we still do topics, we still write out, and we still like on occasions we will come up with different topics to discuss for specific reasons. But there are instances like this right here where we just go into a free flow, and then we build on top of that. So I could give you like just a few words, you can give me a few words, and then we can build on top of that. But that's because we're the embodiment of the thing that we are doing. We're not just we're not just doing coaching or doing the thought leaderships. We're actually those things. We're the embodiment of the things that we teach because we equipped ourselves with the tools to overcome, which will help other people. We equip them with the same tools or similar tools, and it helps them to overcome as well.
Yeah. And I mean, you said another word that like touch my soul, safety.
Like,
You know, I just feel like, and I talked about that too on the live today, because it's like we have to find safety. Like you said, we're always like, and I feel like I've been a victim of that. Always like feeling like there's another goal, another thing I needed to achieve. I'll be happy once I get this. I'll
mm,
be, satisfied once I have this. And I mean, from business to relationships, like it was always something outside of me that I was looking for to achieve a new level of something. And the wild thing is, even in that, I was achieving many things, but I always was like looking for the next thing, on to the next one, like not really letting the wind land, not letting
mm,
it, like you said, embodying. Because the thing is, like, you can get in this state, and I think we talked about it briefly before in a previous podcast, but like, of like hyper healing, right? Like hyper just
mm, mm,
to where it's almost like, and I get it, like, because I love this shit, right? Like I love personal development. I love shifting my perspective and expanding and learning. It's like chef's kiss. However, we get to this point where if you're so always on with this, you will always feel like you're lacking. You'll always feel like you're not enough. You'll always feel like you're, some people could say broken, or just like there's always something to fix. And
mm,
we have to be very careful of that. Which is why we gotta let it land. We gotta let it ride, let it cook, as they say, right? Like let the winds sit and marinate in it so that we can also, I think energetically, that tells the universe, like, hey, I am open to receiving this. Like, I'm grateful. And if you're grateful for something, and the universe, like, it'll say, like, or God, whoever you like, whatever you want to say, right? Um, Whatever you subscribe to is going to be open to like giving more.
mm,
Why would, I don't know if you've ever, I'm pretty sure you have, like you could think of someone, maybe a relative or a kid or a friend or something that you've given something to, and you were
mm,
excited about it. And then it was like you gave it to them, and then they like didn't have the same level of excitement. You know what I mean? Like they're just
mm.
like, oh, thank you. Like it's,
Yeah.
that kind of like awkward. What does that make you feel like? Like it's like, I don't want to give you shit else. Like you, right? Like
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the same thing. Like if you don't find gratitude and joy and just being present and with what you have, finding safety in that, why would God give you more?
Mm,
Why would the universe send you more? Like you ain't even taking care of the stuff you got, right? Like why would I send you more clients? More you're not even appreciative. You focused on trying to get more, but you're not even treating the one you have like as if it's precious,
mm,
right? Because I remember a time where I had the mindset of like, oh, I only got one or two clients at the time, when I first started. And it's like, but that's one or two people that I'm like changing their lives every week. Helping them to empower themselves. I'm helping them to remember who the fuck they are, right?
mm,
Like, that is so powerful. And that is such a privilege. It's such an honor to have one person, two persons. I swear I'm educated, y'all. Two people to like like to share my content. Like you resonated with my stuff so much that you was like, I want more people to see this. Like that is beautiful. But yet we're so worried about like, oh, this didn't get so many likes. This didn't get so many this. No, we need to find safety in the now. Even if, you know, we may not be, you're making 12, 13, 14, $15 an hour, right? Like in this day and time, depending on where you live, that isn't much, right?
wow,
However,
wow.
you can have the mentality, and this is what an unsuccessful person would think, that I'm not making enough. It's hard enough, right? That I don't have money to save. So they don't.
Mm,
So then when things happen, they're caught off guard. Then it just, then that reinforces the thought that I don't have enough, right? Like, so what do? Like maybe they like engage in like sabotaging behaviors. And maybe they were like me, where years ago, when I would get money, even though I knew I was getting another paycheck, it would still feel like money just came and went. So rather than like letting all my bills, getting all my bills paid and stuff, oh, I steered away from auto pay because I'll be danged if y'all take my money first and I'm not directly giving it to you. Okay. And what I would do is go on Amazon. I'm shopping because it gave me that little dopamine hit that it's like, oh, I'm getting packages, I'm getting stuff. Like, this is exciting.
Mm.
But then that dopamine hit would go away and then the bills would come. The successful person, however, would say, oh, I'm only making this. I need to at least save $20 a paycheck,
Mm.
$100 a pay, if I can, whatever. But I'm saving something every time. That consistency, that drive, that is a different mentality that's going to get you by the end of the year. You got a little chunk of change saved
Yeah.
versus the person and they make the same amount. So it's really in finding safety in the now rather than thinking, oh, I can't save until I get that job that's making 30 plus an hour. No. How do I find gratitude in now? I'm so grateful that my rent is paid.
Mm.
I am so like blessed that I can save $100 this check
Mm.
because I could have spent that on DoorDash. Me. Like that, it's so impactful for us to just shift our mindset and find safety and joy in the now, in the present, no matter
Mhm.
what your circumstances is, no matter what your history is, no matter what your past trauma is. Like, we really have no excuse. And in this day and age, I mean, between TikTok University, YouTube University, ChatGPT University, Coach University, like, I mean, therapy, like, we have no excuse to stay stuck.
Yeah. Nah,
Period.
for facts. I think it comes down to intentionality and understanding what matters most. And I was watching a video actually the other day. It just popped up on my recommendations, and it was like, what things really matter in your 30s, right? Because I was, I like to take accountability of like my life and all aspects of it, both spiritually, mentally, financially, all aspects. And I like to look at the things that matter most because the time that you spend on certain things should be preparing you for future endeavors. So, like, instead of just checking off like boxes like a task, you should actually be writing or doing things, setting goals that are for like later on down the line, 10 years, like 5 to 10 year goals. So that way you can set yourself up so you don't have to be working as hard in the next few years. And I think that's the thing that really slips a lot of people up, is that they get caught up in a routine or a cycle of doing things a certain way, and they don't know how to pivot from that. So like, we're moving into a digital age where there's still a level of physical work that you have to do, but there's also a lot of mental work that you have to do as well, because most of this stuff is digital. You can't really tangibly touch things, but you can put things in place. You can create systems and orders in order for those things to work for you. And I think that a lot of people haven't gotten to that aspect yet. A lot of people still believe in trading their time for money instead of using their time to build assets that can bring them in more money. And I think that's the era that we're in right now. A lot of people are learning and figuring out how this whole digital space works, because as technology is continuing to advance, you can't ignore what's happening right now in the economy and the market. You just can't ignore it. You have AI, you have decentralized finances, you have Web3, you have crypto, you have all of these different resources, and you have social media. You have TikTok, Instagram, Red Note, you have YouTube, all of these different social media apps. And so I feel like we are in a space now where people can create their own ecosystems, but a lot of people have stagnated their creativity based on whatever experiences that they have. I was watching a video, and there's a woman, she was talking to her son, and she's like in her like 60s or whatever. And her son, he's a Gen Z, so he's probably like in his mid to late 20s, maybe early 30s, right? And she was talking to him about the clients that she serves. And she was like, the clients that I serve that are usually my age, I ask them what things do they like to do? Like what hobbies do they have? What things do they enjoy to do outside of just work? And they can't answer that question because they came up in an era where creativity was stifled. The only things that they had growing up that was fed to them, that was indoctrinated, that got them indoctrinated was go to school, get good grades, go to college, get a degree, get a good job, work that job for umpteenth years, and then retire. And then you go and live life or whatever. After taking care of your kids, after taking care of your parents, and in some cases your siblings and all everybody else around you, then you can go live your life. But nowhere in that formula was it you create, you build, you grow, you do things that you love along that route. And so you have us, this generation coming up where we have that. We have that freedom, we have that intellect, we have that creativity. But a lot of us don't have that grit. They don't have that oomph that our parents and grandparents had. Like they got it out the mud. They knew how to survive. They knew how to just go out and just get it. But they didn't have the creativity. They just had the survivability. As opposed to us, we have the creativity, but we don't necessarily have the survivability that our parents had in the past to just do what it is that we have to do because we like to follow our passions. If it isn't in alignment, it's not, we're not doing it. Like, bro, no, I'm not working this place, bro. I don't like it. And if I don't like it, I'm not going to do it. And so it's like a slippery slope in between the two because you're balancing, you got to do what you got to do, but at the same time, you want to do things that are fulfilling to you. I feel like you had something to go with that.
Yeah, no, I mean, especially when you were talking about not being able to like really look in the future, like years from now, right? Like having um the kind of like goals towards, 3, 4, 5+ years from now. A lot of people um yeah, right. And I think it kind of touches on a previous episode that we talked about, like safety versus freedom. A lot of people are making decisions for safety right now
Mm,
versus like freedom, which may be uncomfortable now and it may be a little tight right now, but it's going to give us more freedom, right? Um,
mm,
and one thing that I think, honestly, I think it's really the solution. Um, is to know our core values. Again, like I've talked about this many times, but I'm so firm on it because I even had one of my new clients. She's looking for work. And she's like, I could get any job, but like, I don't want to get just any job, right? Like, she's done that before. And it led to her having, like, it led to her just being depressed. It led to a lot of even like physical, like, dis-ease, right? Just um, it affecting her in so many ways. And so she's like, I don't want to go back down that path. And so one of, the session that we did, we just really dove into like the core values because I'm like, a lot of people, we know like you hear about values with companies and organizations and stuff, and it's like it's in a mission statement, right? Like it just is like whatever. But a lot of people don't know what their personal core values are. And it
mm.
is so important. It is so important because it literally makes your decision making easier. Well, I won't say easier, but simpler, right? Like
Yeah.
it may not be easy to choose the thing, but it does make it simpler. Um, it makes, when we look for jobs, when we, look at boundaries in our relationships, at the relationships themselves, it is literally like a compass for us because a lot of people, and you said alignment, right? Like a lot of us are not living in alignment. And I
Mm,
do think it's possible. I think it's possible to get what we want, to get the money, to get the relationship and all those things and still be in alignment. I
mm,
think a lot of us are used to having an either or type of mentality, and I refuse to live it that way anymore. Like, I
mm,
am a firm believer that the more that I make aligned decisions, and by aligned, I mean it is in alignment with my core values, which while the definition or my perception of them may shift, not too much, it's not going to fluctuate too much on the core values itself, right? Just maybe how I define them
mhm,
and when I make aligned decisions based on those things, that is, I am making decisions that are going to not only give me like, um, these are the paths, the stepping stones to help me to get towards that freedom. And I also think when we make those decisions, even if they're hard right now, even if that means, like I did, leaving the job, or even if that means leaving the relationship, because we're afraid of being alone, or we don't know what our money's going to look like. Don't nobody want no funny money, right?
Not
I
right now.
I get it. But the more we make aligned decisions, we make room for authenticity. We make room for more abundance. We make room for energetically for things to just flow in because we're creating it creates a state of flow. Like that is the energy that is it is coming from us and emanating from us when we are in alignment. When you are not living in alignment, right? Like that is when we're stuck in overthinking. That is when, because there's no overthinking if we know what our values are. Because then
Hmm.
I know if I make this decision, and just to give you a little clarity on that, like for instance, this is why when you have like when you look at it, not to say that there's not people out here that have these types of jobs that aren't like happy or anything like that. But there's a reason why when you look at like movies and TV shows and they show cops or they show judges, right? These are people that are, especially when it comes to situations where like a cop, right? Like they may not agree with all the laws, but they damn sure got to uphold them, right? For the most.
Hmm.
But there's a reason why a lot of times in those storylines, what is happening? They're depressed or they got issues with their relationships. It's because they're living in misalignment. Can you
Hmm.
imagine like being a lawyer, right? And like a criminal lawyer, like
Yeah.
and going and working for people that like you damn well know they're guilty. But you're
Yeah.
so good at your job, you know what I mean? That maybe you win, maybe you're successful, but you're not in alignment.
Mm.
Causes the inner chaos, and energetically, that creates a constriction. We're no longer in flow. And when you're not in flow, things aren't, they're not coming to you. So, yeah, they may have the money, they may have the stature, they may be famous, they may be on magazines and whatever, right? But internally, that don't mean shit.
Mm.
We're
Mm.
not
Mm.
in alignment. So I think core values, just knowing them
Mhm.
and having that as like your compass. I use the example, like just imagine you're walking through the woods in this life, this 3D world on this earth is ghetto as hell. It's like us walking through the woods. Imagine you walking through the woods, not knowing where to go, having a destination. I want to be happy. I want to like have peace. I want to be like, I want my family to like prosper, right? And like having this compass that you never look at.
Mm.
That's crazy. Like, what happens? We probably gonna get lost. We gonna make some wrong turns. And not wrong, but because everything is right at the end of the day. It's either a win or a lesson. But just saying that like, we can make our journey a lot smoother if we have this compass, which is our core values to help us to make more aligned decisions. A lot of us are stuck in loops of half-made decisions
Mm.
because
Yeah.
we like, oh, I know I want to do this, but then, oh, like this person might think of me this way, or this might affect that person. It's going to do this to that situation. So then we were like, okay, no, I'm not going to do it. Oh,
Mm.
but I want to do it. But no, it's gonna. And then we just on repeat.
Mm.
That is exhausting.
Yeah. Nah, for real. So the solution, I feel like this would be a good conclusion. The solution to all of this, to me, from my POV, would be treat your life, and I've been thinking about this too, lately too, using like treat your life like stats. Like you can see a board, and you can even write this too, and treat your life like that, like a video game almost. You write down what things that you want to improve on, and you just slowly track each and every one of those things, and you see how you make progress in those areas in your life. So if you want to read more, if you want to study or learn something new, right? If you want to exercise, if you want to eat a certain way, you can use like a board and create stats so that way you can track that progress. And I like the idea behind that too, because you actually get to see where your attention and where your focus is going. And then it can help you to really intentionally create the life that you want. Because if you're not tracking your life, then you're just going on autopilot. And sometimes autopilot, if you're not properly set up, it's not going to lead you. It's like you said, it's going to just lead you in that constant loop of just repeating the same cycle over and over and over again. Right. And I would like for everybody who's watching this to consider to approach these concepts with the level of calmness, because most things transpire better when you're in a calm state. Like if you try to tackle something and you're frantic, or you're just like your nervous system is just over stimulated, then it doesn't get the same results as opposed to approaching it from a calmer level. So being calm is a new superpower. And I teach this through the form of meditation, because meditation is working within to work without. Because the more you're still within yourself, the easier it is for things to transpire in your life more smoothly, because you're not anxious about anything. As a matter of fact, you're more patient and you execute with more precision as well. So that would be my solution to that.
I like it. I like it. And yeah, I mean, mine would be to find my challenge to you as a listener is to think about what your core values are. If you know at least your top, like, I think we should know our top like 7 to 10, but at least if you could know your 3 to 5 top ones. Um, I do obviously have with my clients, I go much more in depth with this and have like actual some tools to help like really dig into this and find out what yours are. But I do have 3 ways that I'll give y'all to help determine what yours are. Because I think it's simple to look at it this way: is look at your triggers,
Mm-hmm.
look at your love languages, and your core wounds. So by that, because like our triggers, right? Like they are um that's when we get activated. So like if you get triggered a lot by like maybe when you're like feeling dismissed or something like that, then more than likely maybe respect is a big thing for you. Or maybe like thoughtfulness is really important to you. Or maybe, if you've had it a lot, like where you've had a pattern of being like excluded, right? Like maybe inclusion is big for you. Um, especially like, you think of like the LGBTQIA plus, I don't know, I think that's where we're at right now.
Yeah.
But like, with that kind of community, right? Like a lot of people have been excluded. So like it makes sense that that could be a core value of yours. Or maybe if you're, for me, dependability was a big one for me because like I had a mom who could not be on time. She'd be like, I'm around the corner. An hour later, how many corners are you around? And so I realized that it would bother me so much because dependability is really important to me. Accountability is really important to me. Your love languages also, like if quality time or something is your, like your top love language, then more than likely connection is important to you. Words of affirmation, then encouragement could be important to you. Um, and then just your core wounds, like, and by core wounds, I'm basically talking about the stuff from like our childhood, adolescent, around that time frame. Um, again, if you've been like rejected a lot, maybe acceptance is important to you. If you have that fear of abandonment, security is probably important to you. And again, just like realizing that it could shift, right? Because security at the age of 15 looks different than 35 definition of security. But just
Mm-hmm.
like kind of looking at those to kind of make connections to what your core values could be. I'm telling you, it could really shift the game if you start to think about like maybe when something in your relationship happens and why it is bothering you so much. If you look at your core values, there's probably a connection there. There may be a value that might have been violated or dismissed or suppressed by you, right? Like it could
Mm-hmm.
happen. And I think it is a guiding principle to help us to again figure out when we need to create boundaries in relationships, how we can align our jobs to things, you know, and all of that. I mean, everything. So that is my challenge to you guys. And I would love to see, like, if you, you know, fill up to it, to put in the comments like one or two of your values. I know for me, like personal development, that's my top one. That and growth.
Big one.
So
Awesome. Awesome. I like that. Yeah.
hopefully y'all got something from that today.
Nah, that was really good. That was really good. Yeah, leave your thoughts in the comments too of like this topic, and let us know like if there's anything y'all want to hear from us as well, because we talk about a lot of things, like a lot of things. But if there's anything specific that you want us to talk about, then yeah, just leave it in the comments.
Yes.
And remember,
Yeah.
damn, I forgot. What was it? The usual things.
I was trying to find it. This is what happened, y'all, when you don't record for a few weeks because somebody want to be at work, like the ghetto.
We don't happen beyond. The
Wow.
usual doesn't happen, and neither do we.
I want to try that again.
The usual, what is it? We don't happen. The usual doesn't happen.
Wow.
And neither do we. This is bad. This is gonna be bloopers.
And remember, growth doesn't happen in the usual places.
And neither do we.
Thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of Beyond the Usual podcast, where we don't just talk about it.
We go beyond it. Boom. Thank y'all for watching. And until next time, peace and progress.
Peace, y'all.